Awake now my senses to hear life's call. I was out walking the other day when I experienced one of those gorgeous moments of awakening. As I did, beautiful words by E. E. Cummings came into my mind. Now the ears of my ears are awake. Now the eyes of my eyes are opened. Once again the ears of my ears had awoken and the eyes of my eyes had opened to something new. In fact, it felt as though all my senses had opened like they had never done before. Now, one of the reasons for this was that I had just had my ears cleared. I had for weeks been suffering quite badly with my hearing, and at last the treatment had worked, and I could hear clearly once again. I had also in recent times had trouble with my voice. I felt like I had lost my voice somewhat. Thankfully, this seems to have been resolved. I have, as I have many times, refound my voice. The changes in my voice have been due to the weight loss over the last few months. So many of the physical aspects of my being have changed, and this has taken some readjustment in my living and being. I feel I can hear in a new way, and I can speak once again. I have also noticed other changes in all my senses, including what they call the sixth sense. My senses have been awakened as I have heard life's call. Now, as I was walking, I noticed I could hear many new bird songs, and just as I looked up and noticed birds I had not paid attention to before, a smell filled my nostrils that reawakened a childhood memory. My mind turned to a time when I would have been about 11 years old, working in my dad's butcher shop, making sausages and beef burgers, a job I used to delight in doing. I smiled as I walked, and as I did, lots of other memories came flooding back into my current consciousness. Memories that only brought joy and happiness at this moment, but ones that have in the past brought tears and pain to my experiences. Memory, or at least the way I remember, has changed so much over time. They say you cannot rewrite history and that you cannot change the past. I am not convinced by this. I have noticed that as time has gone by, so much of my life, or at least how I remember my life, has changed. Now don't get me wrong, it's not that the events have changed, just how I remember them. The darkness and the pain is still there, only now in its correct proportion. Today, the difficult memories are surrounded and filled by the joy and the love that was always there too. Memory is a fascinating thing, and I do believe it is connected to the way that we experience life currently. I suspect that it is connected to our senses and how awake they are to our current experiences. Just as the way that we feel about our past influences impacts on our current lives, therefore, it is no surprise that the opening of my senses brought a new experience of my past. Now, the sense of smell has long been connected to memory. Neuroscience suggests that upon detecting a smell, the olfactory neurons in the upper part of the nose generate an impulse which is passed to the brain along the olfactory nerve. The part of the brain this arrives at first is called the olfactory bulb, which processes the signal and then passes information about the smell to other areas closely connected to it, collectively known as the limbic system. The limbic system comprises of a set of structures within the brain that are regarded as playing a major role in controlling mood, memory, behavior, and emotion. This affects areas of what is often referred to as the old brain, so called as they were present within the brains of the very first mammals. It is suggested that those with full olfactory function may be able to think of smells that evoke particular memories, and that this can happen spontaneously. Well, this is exactly what's happened to me while out walking the other day. as I felt my senses had reawakened once again, as long forgotten memories came alive in my current consciousness. Just as how I experience the present moment affects how I remember the past, I also believe it is important to understand that how I remember impacts on how I experience the present moment, and also how I look into the future. As I look at the times in my own spiritual journey, I regret my attempts to reject my past. I now know that to truly bring the moment alive, rather than just to passively live in the moment, I must bring the experience of my whole life into my experience of life right here, right now. That includes those memories that cause pain and distress. Attempting to fully let go of them is neither healthy nor possible. All of this brought to my mind a favourite Bible passage from Mark's Gospel of Jesus healing a deaf-mute man. I once heard the Reverend Bill Darlison preach on this. He believed that the passage and his particular section of Mark's Gospel is attempting to teach us of the need to live more open and connected lives. He pointed out that the author is trying to make us listen by using a clever linguistic aid. In the account, he states that Jesus says the Aramaic word "ephatha" as he heals the man. This is perhaps not so strange on the surface, as this is certainly the language that Jesus would have spoken. What is strange, though, is that this is inconsistent with the rest of the Gospel, which was originally written in Greek. Bill says that this is a deliberate ploy to make we who are listening to the account to pay attention, because something really important is being taught here. The word ephatha means open up. Open your senses to all that is around you. I have come to believe that in order to live fully awake mentally, physically, and spiritually requires one to be awake to all that is, all that has been, and all that will ever be. It is of no use just merely living in the present in a passive sense, to merely be the observer of life. The spiritual life is one of engagement, of being fully alive, and I believe to be fully engaged and alive to what is occurring right here, we also need to be awake to all that has been to, and to therefore give ourselves fully to what is yet to come. This requires us to have all our senses fully awake and fully engaged, to use all our senses, including the sixth sense. In so doing, we will be able to live fully engaged and meaningful lives. We need to awaken all our senses and thus not only hear life's call, but to also respond to it.